Holy carnivorous carnival, Batman! Tiki here, and I'm watching through Batman the Animated Series for the first time, and, oh my god, what's this? What is this? An episode of Batman the Animated Series? That takes place almost entirely during the day outside of the final fight scene? Dragon, help me out here. I need someone to explain this madness to me. What is this? This is so out of character for the show.
Rest assured, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
And tonight we are talking about Season 3, Episode 10, Sideshow. Is it Bob or Mel, Dragon? Alright, anyways, all kidding aside, I already made that joke to you off air, I think.
Yes,
I think it was off air. Alright, so Dragon, I gotta say, not really feeling this one. I think that the first act is really weird with the, with Batman tracking Killer Croc in the middle of the woods during the day. It's all off, Dragon. It's all kinds of off. You agree with me on this, I think. As for the circus freak show angle of it all, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I've seen much better, kind of freaks and isolated characters in other episodes of other animated series that I may or may not have watched recently that maybe share a similar structure to this, but, well, not to say that Zuko alone had freaks and outcasts in it, but I digress. Yeah, Dragon, I don't know. And then Batman just kind of comes in and just sort of generically saves the day. They fight. It's not really anything special for me. I'm not really feeling this one.
Okay.
How do you feel about it? How does the fan base feel about it, more importantly?
Well, let's see. I mean, overall, again, the thing with Season 3 of Batman is that, you have a couple episodes that do get kind of lost in the scuffle, and that 2 was the revolutionary season, where, again, don't get me wrong, you had your infamous episodes like your Moon of the Wolves and so on and so forth, but again, it was like kind of like a rare thing, like, oh god, what a stinker to pop up. But Season 3, it's like they're not stinkers, but sometimes you have a couple just like, it was them just kind of, again, it's like Dong Yang kind of getting its, kind of like just kind of honing the animation style, just doing kind of like a Saturday morning adventure with Batman, so to speak. So they had a couple of those in there. And again, some really notable, some just like, okay, we're just kind of going through the motions, but hey, a little Batman adventure to satiate you till next week when things get really big, kids, that sort of thing. So the interesting thing...
Well, go ahead, sorry.
Well, the interesting thing with Sideshow is that in the animated series, there were a number of rehabilitation episodes with the villains. And the thing going back to this one for me is that when you go back to Sideshow, it's all of these rehabilitation episodes, by the way, none of them are alike. They're all very different takes on a villain trying to walk the straight and narrow, or being rehabilitated or released from a prison or an Arkham in some way, shape, or form. You saw what happened with the Penguin. That was a very compelling example of that. You're going to see some more even really interesting ones as we go forward, especially in Season 3. There's going to be at least, I think, 2 or 3 more this season. So, Croc was more like, Croc was kind of the question, can a bad person change? Can a bad person have the potential change if they're in kind of if they're in a different environment than they've ever been in before? So this episode has interesting things about it. Just, again, I don't feel like it doesn't hit the mark. I just feel like it's a really interesting, thing they're kind of tackling here, where it's like, it's like, there is no resolution, but that's kind of the point,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's contextually, here's some of the stuff we have going on here in terms of the credits, the bona fides. We have Boyd Kirkland directing this one, the great Boyd Kirkland, who recently did Read My Lips, which was amazing.
Yeah, that episode I definitely grew to like a lot more.
This was written by Michael Reeves, of course, the great and powerful Michael Reeves. I love the man. He's written. He's written Mask of the Phantasm, of course, one of the few writers on Mask of the Phantasm, but also in terms of the Killer Croc Connect, he did Vendetta, which again was the big introduction to Killer Croc, so very appropriate. We bring him back. Also, he worked with Bryony Stephens, who also did Birds of a Feather. And Birds of a Feather, again, the previous rehabilitation episode we've done with a rogue. So again, kind of you see a little bit of the writing DNA in here. We get a little one-part Killer Croc, one-part rehabilitation episode. Let's see if we can mix it together, see what happens. That sort of thing.
Oh God, you sound way too enthusiastic about it.
Anyway,
No
the studio that worked on this, Dong Yang, as I said, who have done Birds of a Feather, but notably, the last time we saw Killer Croc, or in quotes, Killer Croc, almost got him. Which, remember, is not Killer Croc, but is but is Batman doing an impression of Killer Croc, a very dumb impression of Killer Croc, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, right.
Very funny. Okay, one more major note to hit here, and we'll dive right into it. The next two episodes, actually, they adapt kind of these one-shot comic stories. So this is based off Detective Comics number 410. Now, this is a Denny O'Neil story, and basically what they did is Killer Croc was not in the story, but it was basically Batman chasing down an escaped criminal. And he kind of happened upon the exact same freak show characters that we kind of happened upon here. So that's kind of it's what's very interesting about this episode. They kind of took the structure of an episode, but we infused kind of one of the more notable Bat villains in there instead of just kind of like a no name, like oh, it's a crazy guy with a knife. So we kind of switch those out.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's just dive right into it. Then.
All right. Okay, so we start our tale on a train.
And with a newspaper, and Michael Reeves, he loves from that Read My Lips episode, he loves the newspaper gags. He loves the spinning newspaper, he loves newspaper exposition. So we have a newspaper expositing Killer Croc, ruled sane, and being transported to Levitt's prison, which is a reference to the editor, Paul Levitt. So I've actually had the pleasure of meeting. Nice guy. So I've always loved...
So yeah, Croc's in chains, and they're saying... they're basically saying that they're moving him upstate because he's just too dangerous or something. I don't know.
No. Here's the thing, and I really love this. This kind of plays into my fun headcanon here. Is that I love the idea that certain villains, like a Penguin or a Killer Croc, they are judged on how crazy their plan or their criminal acts were. So that kind of, in this case, Killer Croc, he had a really well thought out vendetta plan for Harvey Bullock. Therefore, not crazy. However, maybe traditionally Killer Croc, if he were to try to, say, eat somebody like he tends to do, not in animation, but just, not in the animated series, but generally, that would be insane. He would go to Arkham. You know what I mean? Depending on how crazy the crime is, you go to Arkham. See, again, gotcha. Penguin goes to Stonegate because he's not crazy. Same. So we kind of do that here. That's kind of the implication I got. And also, I like the headcanon is that this is a direct follow-up to Vendetta because we didn't see him in Almost Got Him. We saw someone dressed like him. So it's like he's been waiting to be sentenced, and now he's been sentenced, and now he's going to a prison upstate in Gotham.
Or is he?
Very true, very true. And also, there's like a little...
Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little headline, too. It says, society, like Killer Croc is quoted saying, society's the criminal. A little foreshadow to the theme of the episode. Is society to blame? Okay, anyway, you're right. So we think Killer Croc's going up the river.
He dramatically just breaks his chains, and then I love this sting of just like, oh my god, did he, like, all the cops just kind of like, all the cops and the people like, yeah, and the press are just like, oh my god, he's gotten away, I'm not fighting that thing.
No, we have this great bit where Killer Croc says, they thought it because the guard's getting cocky and saying, Croc, you're not, they're stacked polycarbon alloy cuffs. You're never going to break those. Of course, Croc informs him, funny thing they didn't expect here, like the tensile strength of a crocodile's teeth, of a crocodile's jaw or whatever, and basically bites the restraints off.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens?
As the press are fleeing, we see just Batman just kind of incognito in the press, just kind of like rips off his newspaper reporter outfit, Superman style, and reveals the Bat costume underneath. Okay, so again, one, you got to admit it's a really cool idea. Batman going undercover to make sure the convoy goes off without a hitch. There, that's a great idea. You see him disguised as and again, if you look in that scene, it's Bruce Wayne with a mustache and a press hat on. He's right there, right in front of your eyes. It's great, but yeah.
basically, as a reporter, pulls a Clark Kent and he kind of dashes out of there with the superhero costume underneath. He's pulling a
It's
Clark
like the
Kent.
shot that you see in every episode of Superman the Animated Series where he's like running towards the camera.
Sure, you're kind of a little Donner move, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the one reporter runs off. It's Batman. So Croc, importantly, Croc is hit with a trank dart by one of the guards. He's basically just plowing through these guards and heading to the roof of the train. So he's hit with a trank dart. So he climbs up, and before he can jump off the thing, he's bolo wrapped around and tripped on his face. And it's Batman waiting on the train. You gotta admit, pretty cool train fight. Hard to knock a train fight.
No, I'll never deny a good train fight unless it's the train heist from Solo.
Right. So anyway, so
Sorry.
you think? Okay, let's see. So Croc again. We emphasize the wrestler mentality as a little reminder for later, so we know that he's lying about his backstory. Because in the animated series, Killer Croc, wrestler, says, "You think you can take the champ?" So so he battles with Batman. Batman tries.
Batman's just like, yeah, Batman tries reasoning with him. He's just like, Croc, you're not going to get very far tranquilized, farther than you. And then he just jumps off the side of the train.
And he takes Batman with him. He's basically into a fight. And basically, as Croc is like charging towards Batman, Batman dodges out of the way. But as Croc falls, he grabs Batman's cape, and the two of them all fall through the forest, bump into a bunch of trees and everything. And bam, they've hit the ground. Batman's knocked out cold, which is not good. Croc, not so much. And Tiki, what does Killer Croc try to do?
Put me on the spot here. I'm sorry.
Famous line from Almost Got Him, Tiki. What does he do?
Oh, he throws a rock at him, of course.
Yes!
Of course. Stuff.
Yes!
You're like setting me up, but I'm sorry. That's a pretty specific thing to not have in my notes. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying that. It's like, I thought you were going to get a kick out.
Yeah, he throws a rock at him. Throws a rock at him. I'm sorry.
Thankfully,
totally misplaced you there.
Because he's dazed, he kind of sees multiple Batman, so he hits the wrong Batman. He crushes the wrong Batman's head. So basically, Batman dodged a really gruesome fate by inches, which is awesome.
I didn't even pick up on the through the right. Honestly, I have a boulder in my notes, Dragon. I didn't even have the rock in my notes. I'm sorry. But yeah, he stays. He goes over the side of the cliff. Then, he lands right on the side of his back.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so basically, Croc, he's making his way. He's making his way there. Importantly, Croc, as he's running away, his shirt rips and everything and he's wearing the chains. So again, importantly, we're setting up the misunderstanding for later. There, he doesn't look like a prisoner, but he is chained though. So he has the sympathy visual going on there. Let's see, and I want to emphasize this too because you mentioned earlier, but again, just to mention, Batman once he wakes up and he gives pursuit to Croc here again. Very odd seeing Batman in broad daylight and in the woods, nonetheless. It's just Batman's so far out of his element, and again, Batman's going to be really facing a lot out of left field stuff here.
Mm.
All
right. So like you said, he's kind of just I don't know, Dragon. It's so odd to see Batman just out in the wilderness, using tracking. I mean, it makes sense that he has tracking skills. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to see it. It's just not something I would expect from the series. It's odd. It's kind of out of his element.
But you see what I'm saying? The only time we should really take Batman out of the city is when Ra's al Ghul's involved. Outside of that,
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
But again, we see Batman in daylight, I want to say 2 times in the original animated series. So this episode and one more we're going to have in season 3, and they both feel.
I didn't even realize it was that rare.
I'm just saying, seeing him in broad daylight like this. I mean, yes, it's very rare. And when we get to New Adventures, the jury's out. I don't want to get into that right now. But the point being, the original series, the next one's going to be even funnier, though. It's kind of like a funny, whoa, look how silly it looks like Batman in broad daylight. Here it's just okay, in the woods, which again, he's in the woods during the comics that are kind of stuck with him in the woods here. So, point being, Batman, he's tracking him. Croc, he pushes over a giant tree and uses it as a bridge to cross a ravine. He spots Batman across the way while he's on kind of the cliffside. He collapses these boulders, basically kind of these rock formations, onto the tree, and then we have this. Again, while out of his element, this is pretty cool. Batman basically, Batman, as he's walking over the tree, it collapses and he's falling. He uses the grappling gun, but again, outside of his element of a city, the tree breaking everything, the grappling gun is flung out of his hand. Batman's like free fall, and he's a goner until he grabs onto the cliffside. So he saves himself just by the skin of his teeth there. So Croc, as Batman warns him, you're going to be dazed, you're not going to get far. Croc is dazed, and he's still trying to cross kind of a little waterfall here. He slips on it, and he goes over the falls. And it looks like Croc's a goner, because while he does look like a crocodile, he cannot breathe underwater. Neither can actual crocodiles, I guess, but, same difference. Point being, he's a goner. What happens?
So then we see this boy out in the distance, and he sees the figure struggling in the water, and alas, oh my god, it's a seal boy, Dragon! It's a seal boy!
Yep, it's Billy.
No, not the little seal girl from As Told by Ginger.
Oh god.
Although that would be an awesome crossover.
Okay, it'd probably be a musical. It'd be terrible.
Oh god. Well, maybe on like Brave and the Bold or something like that. I don't know. Or it's a little bit more irreverent.
Okay, the point being, Billy the Seal Boy saves Croc, and Croc he's kind of slowly but surely coming to. Basically, he's a little conscious for this scene, but we the audience are seeing him surrounded by circus performers, ex-circus performers. They're noticing the chains, and they're basically they're all for helping a fellow outcast.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I do like about this episode, Dragon, probably my favorite element of it, I will admit, is the cast of characters that we have here for the circus folk. We don't get a lot of development with them, but I like their designs. And hey, look, a wild Brad Garrett appeared.
Yeah, and by the way, if I'm correct, the first time he ever appeared in the DCAU, and he comes back a lot. Because he plays two characters on the regular in Superman. Well, he plays Bibbo in Superman, and he plays Lobo. Like just very counter-opposite characters.
All right. So yeah, why don't you run through all the characters really quick, Dragon?
Sure. So we meet the ringmaster, who is essentially a hunchback named Richard, who's played big bona fide here. He played by the great Kenny Mars. I mean, Kenneth Mars, from Young Frankenstein. Kemp from Young Frankenstein. He got the wooden hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the name sounded familiar.
He kind of played himself in Freakazoid during the Candlejack episode. Candlejack. And also a big one, King Triton from Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow!
And he was the grandfather in in Land Before Time. Anyway,
Dragon, I don't know. Like King Triton might not be like. I think it's like agreed that King Triton is maybe one of the best Disney dads.
Well, I mean, he's good. I mean, again, we're talking like Goofy from Goofy Movie here, but that's what.
Well, he's not Goofy from Goofy Movie, all right. We all know that.
That's what I'm saying. When you make a statement like that, there are other, but he's in the top.
I said he was one of the best.
You're right. You're right. He is one of the best. He's in there.
All right. Anyways,
I agree. Okay. So let's see. So Goliath brings Croc to the mill again. Goliath, Brad Garrett. Let's see. So Croc awakens in the mill inside. I love this little kind of farm mill they got going on here. It looks really. I like that it was like a water mill. It's really kind of nice. So let's see. So Croc awakens in the mill. He sees like. Yeah, we see all the circus decorations and then a little hideaway going on here. Old posters. A little great design work here. You know what I really liked about the whole circus thing of it all? I liked that it wasn't like a gothic circus. We didn't just like do a Tim Burton like from Batman Returns over again. We didn't do like a Returns. Oh, it's a scary circus of outcasts. Ooh, like we didn't do that. It's like
no, that's a good point. It's a nice. You know what it kind of reminded me of, Dragon, and this is why I made this reference. Is that it reminded me of the carnival from Series of Unfortunate Events a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I bring that up.
I haven't watched the way that they interpret that on the Netflix series, but just reading the book, kind of the eclectic cast of characters to me felt a little similar.
I hear you though. So he's then greeted by the Siamese twins, May and June, both played by Jo Beth Williams from Kramer vs. Kramer.
Yeah, another really good design.
Yep. So he's giving tea and basically introductions to everybody. Of course, Richard, like Richard III, basically.
Say tea. On a little bit of a Last Airbender kick, folks.
Okay, we know if they ever do they're doing that live action Avatar show. You know who they got to get as Iroh?
Who?
Patrick Fabian.
Oh my God! No!
I know, I'm kidding. Just
No,
for RT runners.
Yeah, the Dragon RT Runner is not worthy besmirching the good name of Iroh, Dragon. Come on now.
I know. I'm kidding you. Okay. Anyway, in all seriousness, getting back on point. So we have Richard here.
Who's Patrick Fabian playing the Cabbages guy?
Oh God, that'd be so funny. Anyway, getting back on point. The ringmaster's name is Richard, like Richard III. He's a big Shakespeare buff, constantly quoting Shakespeare, mainly Richard III, as you probably guess. I too am rudely stamped. You know, I had to do that speech once. It was not great. Okay, so.
Yeah, Shakespeare was not my strong suit in drama.
Let's see. So we meet, we meet Billy. Croc properly meets Billy here, and I love that Croc shows the kids some respect here. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what interests me most about the episode, Tiki. The bond that Croc has with the Seal Boy. That's the fascinating thing to me about this episode. Where, it's like, hey kid, you dragged me out of the drink, didn't you? I owe you one, kid. And Goliath kind of extends his big hand. I helped haul you in. I'll buy you a medal.
All right, so they're basically expositing that the circus days are over. They use the money to buy the farm so they could even live in peace. It's a sanctuary for all of freak kind.
Yeah, if you're willing to work, you're more than welcome. Is that a fact? So again, we see Croc here again. I like the relationship with the kids very much like the wrestler and the fan almost. And here with the and overall here, it's like again you see a potential for Croc. Croc's taken out of the equation, but really he's a criminal kind of hiding under the roof of kind of the unsuspecting. That's kind of the old thing you have going on here. But again, it's a question of, could this bring something positive out in Croc? Like, how long will it be a scam, and how long will it, could anything bloom from this?
Mm-hmm.
So we see Croc helping Goliath pull a tractor from the dirt, kind of helping out, doing his part there. They're asking about Croc's story, and basically Croc gives kind of a lie here. There might be some half-truths in here, in very small part, but we know for a fact a lot of this very much fabricated. Says I was part of a freak show, and they kept me chained up like an animal and forced me into a tank. Which, later, when we get the new adventures, you're going to see him in his cell, which actually is a tank. So, this is what I'm talking about, the half-truth. So he probably was kept in a tank. Mm-hmm. They made me do tricks and gave me fish heads and stale bread. So anyway, so he gives them the sob stories here, and he's basically, it's it tells him how they worked him over really good, and then of course he freaks out when he hears a rustling in the bushes. He thinks it's Batman. In reality, it's a deer. It's like a little baby fawn or something, a little fawny deer.
Yeah, but I like that kind of illustrates to the freak show that this is a guy that he's got issues and he's got baggage. They just don't know what the baggage is, but they know that he's looking over his shoulder and he's got a dark past. And it interests me that they take him in specifically because of that reason.
Yeah. So, of course, they say they're very comforting, no one will find you here. And, of course, Croc seeing the advantageous side of this, good, that's real good. All right, so when we get back to Batman,
on the side of a cliff. Yeah. Still in broad daylight, I might add.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's a deal breaker, but it is weird. It always feels unnatural. Oh man, you should be out in daylight. It's theatricality. Batman, it's theatricality and deception. You're ruining it.
What would be better is if it was literally just like Bruce Wayne in mountain climbing gear.
You joke about
does he really have to be Batman right now?
Yeah,
I'm just saying for practicality purposes.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, being like I said, when he was climbing the cliffs, and they say the city's dangerous. All right, let's see. We have this sweet kind of cape cut here. Basically, as Batman climbs up, his cape transitions into the next scene. Really nice.
Maybe that's the only reason they had Batman in costume.
Well, I mean that, like,
Right.
what the basically Batman would just be like the shirtless mountain climber the whole episode because he doesn't have a change of clothes at the ready, and that's the thing. He'd just be
I'm not
really
saying he's
cool.
shirtless. I'm just,
No, I'm
anyways.
saying he doesn't. He has to take off the costume. That's all. He doesn't have anything underneath the costume. That's what I'm saying.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, point being,
God.
it's dinner time.
Mm. All right.
So Goliath offers up his bed here. He says, "Okay, I'll sleep outside." You take the bed, offers it to Croc very accommodatingly, and like Billy saying, "Hey, we go for a swim, right?" Croc says, "Oh yeah, sure, kid, whatever." I'm gonna need a shame I didn't bring a bathing suit, so they say, "Oh yeah, let's give some raiment to our guest." It basically means clothes, and then we get to the conversation of like, "How are you gonna buy clothes?" "Oh yeah, we have money. We have a little nest egg stashed away." Of course, Richard very smartly downplaying, "Yeah, we got a little nest egg. We'll just pull a little petty cash, if you will." But we learn it's not quite petty. We learn from Goliath just kind of casually, "Yeah, 50K, 50 grand."
Oh boy! And then, of course, you know where this is going right off the bat.
Yeah, and again,
It doesn't take a map to figure it out.
yeah, it makes you wonder. Had Croc seemed to be responding to the civility at that dinner table. He seemed to really be responding to it, and he was really far removed, the seclusion and separation from all the temptation of the city and all the potentials for crime and everything. I mean, who knows? He could have stayed on the straight and narrow, but the minute money came in, the minute the option to do something really bad came into the fray, it gave him a naughty light bulb moment.
All right, so it's nighttime. Fucking finally, Dragon.
Yep.
Only halfway through the episode, or 12 minutes into the episode, and
To be fair, I mean the comic was all at nighttime. In case you're curious, okay, I don't know why.
all right.
Okay.
So Croc's just kind of like looking around, and he finds the stash pretty easily. It's not very well hidden, I must say.
Yeah, it's like a little secret compartment within like the pipe organ.
Mhm.
But then he takes a moment, he looks at the posters, and he's kind of interrupted by Billy here, and gets a little kind of gun shy, like, "Oh yeah, just like a little, like, oh, I was looking for a blanket. I'm cold."
I'm cold.
So
That was probably my favorite moment of the whole episode. Just Croc saying that he's cold. I
I'm
don't know
cold.
why. It was just like
It is funny though. I'm not gonna knock it. It is quite funny. You know why? I keep remembering that moment because I love what follows. I love this. It's little moments like this to give the episode some life. Where it's a nice bit of when Croc, he's just made up an excuse so the kid will go away so he can like hide the money and stuff so he won't be caught. But he sees the kid's gonna struggle getting the blankets, reaching for the blankets. So Croc, I got it, shorty. It's like that little moment right
yeah,
there. Again, it just shows you the potential. Croc's potential is interlinked with the relationship with this kid.
for sure, for sure.
And of course, we have a little setup here where he tells Croc, Croc, I know you don't like being here, but you feel weird being here, but you know what? Here you can really be yourself. And of course, that line is going to come back. Make a mental note
Oh
of
yeah.
it. Meanwhile, what's happening outside the barn?
Okay, let's see. Outside the barn, we have, I believe, Batman surveilling. He's interrogating Goliath, right?
Yeah, but I love how this is what I'm talking about. I love how non-combative Batman is.
Yeah, he's not necessarily interrogating. Interrogating is the wrong word. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love how Batman's being exceedingly patient here. Like, he's not the Frank Miller Batman, like with the All-Star Batman. Just like, hey, like hit him on the head to wake him up, like
not by a
that.
long shot.
Like All-Star Batman just walk, like punch him in the face to wake him up. That's All-Star Batman. Thankfully, we're not that. So basically, Batman sneaks up on Goliath, like puts a hand over his mouth, says shh, very calmingly. It's just like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I want to know if you've seen Killer Croc around here. I'm looking for Croc. Then again, Goliath and misinterpret. I feel so bad for Goliath here because again, Goliath doesn't know he's in the wrong here. It's like, Goliath, I know you're misunderstanding. I know there's a misunderstanding here, but he's right, and your guys are wrong, but you mean well. So Goliath's like,
But at the
Croc,
same time, you are kind of rooting for Croc to change his ways.
I know. I am.
You are kind of. All right, you know what? I'm warming up to this episode a little bit. It's not Yates, as you would say, but
Oh, it ain't Yates, but there's something there.
yeah. All right.
All right,
So
anyway,
Goliath and Batman get into kind of a little bit of a battle.
yes, a little bit, but again, like a non-combative ability. Batman's like circling, look, I don't want to fight you, I don't want to hurt you, and they says like, you won't. So, and he's right, he won't. It's kind of like it's almost like the moment in Killing Joke where Batman goes up against the circus strongman, where he kind of literally does that here. Where basically, he kicks him, there's no effect, and then basically one of my all-time favorite Batman moves. I read this in a book once. It's like a little kind of like a novelty book about Batman. It basically, if you're in a fight, what you want to do is like when you're lifted by an opponent who is very large, who's larger than you, and basically grabs you by the throat or grabs you, like just lifts you in the air and has both hands like on the shoulders of that or the throat, you break the hold. And Batman, I love seeing him. He breaks the hold, man. Usually you break the hold in attack, but it doesn't want to hurt this guy. So he basically breaks the hold and he puts his arm behind his back.
Mm.
So let's see. So okay, so after this, then Croc enters the fray. Here he's not running away. He's running towards Batman. He's okay. He's here. I got the numbers on him. I got that Goliath guy. I got a chance here, man. Finally. So he runs up. He's attacking Batman,
Yep.
doing a little wrestling hold on him because again, wrestler. The rest of the gang of the Freak Show here, the former Freak Show, they basically they grab Batman. They throw him in this kind of like cage on wheels, a little kind of circus transport thing.
It's a circus car.
Yeah, circus car. They throw him in there.
Yeah.
They lock him in there. So now we have kind of like it's kind of an interesting liar reveal moment, but again, a very interesting one, not like the kind of the cliche one.
Well, it's kind of like, yeah. It's sort of like, I don't know, like the cliche would be just like, oh, he's, it's a good guy and it's a misunderstanding and he only lied for, because he kind of had to. But this is just like, no, he lied because he's bad and he doesn't want you to find out he's bad.
Yeah, we have the two conflicting stories here. Croc framing that Batman was one of the abusers who put him in the tank, which again, half truth within the lie. He did put him presumably in the tank. He kind of did.
Right.
Versus Batman like touting off Croc's rap sheet. It's like, and again, I love how Batman he's being calm, cool, and collected in the scene because Batman knows if I just yell that this guy's a liar, they're not going to believe me. I got to be really calm and just tell him, like, okay, guys, listen, he is a cold-blooded killer. He's an escaped convict. You can't listen to him. And of course, like Croc, he's hidden the cell. Like, hey, shut up! And he's like throwing his head back. It's like, Batman's in trouble here. So let's see. So the gang, they're saying, "You're being square with us, aren't you, Croc?" "You're sure I am." So now we have the big true colors moment here. What happens?
Yeah. Well, Croc basically, correct me if I'm wrong here, he basically pitches that they kill Batman, right?
Yeah, because like Billy's saying, well, what do we do with him now? And Croc says, well, we get rid of him. Again, the PC way of let's kill him. we had to get rid of him because and again, he's making the argument like if he's safe, none of us are safe. Basically, if we let him go, he's going to bring people here, and they're going to hassle you and everything, which is what you want away from your little sanctuary here. So Croc is trying to make a compelling argument for murder, and he's going for it. I don't think it's going to carry any water. That's just me. So Goliath, importantly, Goliath stops Croc, and not only is he going to kill him, he's going to pitchfork him to death, which is even
love
worse.
the image of Croc with a pitchfork.
Oh, so thankfully Goliath stops this. He grabs the pitchfork and breaks it. No killing. They're all very anti-kill him. And here's the big moment where the Siamese twins are saying he's still a human being. And of course Croc then snaps back, "Who are you calling human being?"
Mm-hmm.
Which then we have Seal Boy who says it all here. Now Billy just says, "Oh, Croc."
That was another good moment. Yeah.
Then we have
Right,
Richard
so,
saying, "Chameleon has shown
Richard
his true
III,
colors."
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. Batman warns them that he's about to throw some bombs, or not bombs, but like smoke devices. Well, kid, looks like we're gonna have to postpone that swim.
Pulls out like a
Throws
knockout
smoke
gas
bomb.
pellet.
Yeah, knocks them all out. They wake up back trapped in the circus car. Goliath's hand is chained to the fence, or chained to the bars, I should say.
Yeah. I love that watch out moment too. Batman's like really because he was more innocent people. They're like watch out because he's about to throw the knockout gas. There's a really great like energized moment within all this. But yeah, so Goliath's he's chained to the outside of the thing, and basically Richard's like, oh, the evil that men do. Hey, can the Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
So Croc's going to grab the cash box and a hunting rifle so he can kill Batman. We have this really tense sequence where Batman is basically reaching for the little parking block so he can basically kind of roll the thing down and escape. And Goliath is meanwhile he's pulling the cage bar free so they can get everyone out of there.
Mhm.
So, like, can he do it before Croc gets back with the shotgun, with the rifle? So, look here, Bats, a couple of souvenirs. I don't want you talking about me when I'm gone, which is a great line, by the way. It's like, I don't want you to talk, saying I was an ungracious guest or ungracious travel buddy.
Oh yeah.
So Batman rolls awesomely. Batman rolls the cage over. I love he just keeps slamming himself against the cage. He rolls the cage over like Croc's like ducking, and it's and basically runs over the gun, and the cage is like airborne, like lands on a rock. So Batman's free. So now Batman and Goliath are teamed up, and they're going after Croc. But Croc barricades himself inside now with a rifle. They can't go in that way because now Croc is armed with a rifle. He's using it as a sniper rifle, which means they're toast.
So this is the part of the episode, I don't know, I kind of just like phase out a little bit. It's just like kind of like a generic Batman and Croc chase scene for the most part.
It's kind of a neat. It's kind of like a setting you don't see every day. Rarely in Gotham, like you never see.
I like the water wheel. I like the water wheel.
That's what I'm saying. You don't see that every day in the animated series. That's the point. Like last time we saw Batman, kind of like a water wheel-esque thing was like the Forgotten when he was like fighting Boss Biggs, like when he slid down the water slide.
Maybe Boss Biggs isn't the best barometer to judge things on. Man,
That's what I'm saying. This to me a far better version than something like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So the point being, Seal Boy has another way in which is basically going through the water under the mill and under the wheel of the mill, and now he's in there and he has like this showdown with Croc. We have Batman doing this awesome pole vault thing where he basically kicks Croc into the outside of the wheel and he disarms him. Croc is then attacking him with like a chain hook and everything. They burst through the side there. And anyway, so now they're on top of like the water wheel. And what's really clever here is that the fight then goes into the water, which is Croc's element, which is much to Batman's detriment. Batman ain't doing well in this fight. Batman uses the wheel really cleverly here. He basically gets on the wheel to kind of wheel himself out of there, and basically Croc is following him in tow, and Croc ends up getting jammed under the wheel well, and it's too heavy, so he just crashes through and he knocks himself out. And Batman just kind of like swims, make sure he doesn't drown. He saves him. That's a point. And Batman's on the surface now. Show's over, folks. Good line for the Batman.
Oh yeah. All right, so I mean, I'm not like trying to knock the fight scene, Dragon. I'm just like it's like, I mean, you're right. It's not really generic's not the right word for it. I don't know. I just think maybe it goes on a little long. I don't know what my problem is with it.
I don't know, Bill. The chain hook's cool. Do we really need a bit where it's just not even going to use it in the fight? Really, it's like, yeah, you're.
That's what I'm saying. There's a couple gratuitous bits here and there, but I mean, it doesn't really drag. I don't know.
Anyway, so big final moment, Tiki.
Yeah. So Croc is being loaded into the helicopter with with a straitjacket and a strap and kind of like a Hannibal Lecter style helmet.
Yeah, like a head cage because they can't fight through the restraints again.
Yeah, the Seal Boy's asking, "Why'd you do that to us? We could have helped you. We could have done something." And oh boy, Croc delivers the line of the episode, Dragon. He says, "You said it yourself. Out here, remember?" Well, I guess that's God, I'm sorry, Dragon. Please, by all means.
The Croc said, "You said you could be yourself out here. I guess that's just what I was doing."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So he's carted away. See a sad Seal Boy and Batman silhouette in the trees, which is just like a weird. I don't want to see Batman in the trees, man.
Still in daytime.
Yeah. And that's the episode.
All right. Okay. So yeah, overall, Dragon, I got to admit, I'm not crazy about this one. It has its merits for sure. I think all the stuff with the Seal Boy, like we keep saying, is probably the best stuff in the episode, but I don't think the Seal Boy saves it, Dragon, not by a long shot. I don't want to call this episode mediocre, but I think it's just good. It's good, and it's not great by any means. It's as you say sometimes, it was good, but it's not great. There's nothing great here compelling me about it, and there are several things off about it, most notably the Batman in the daytime stuff, which just feels weird. So, overall, Dragon, definitely not a high point of a really good season so far.
Right. Final thoughts for me. Again, I do feel it's so interesting how many times in the animated series that we've taken a stab at the rehabilitation story, and again, none of them alike. And again, this is one where, again, it's just the hint that he might have had a prayer, but still, the odds weren't looking good. It's like some people are bad, and they're not gonna change. At least they're not gonna change easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like that was the interesting touchstone of the episode. But yeah, you're right. Let's be honest. It's no vendetta, but it's an interesting character piece. I'll give it that much. It's an interesting character piece for Killer Croc. Not the finest of season 3, but not half bad at all.
Great. So tease us up for the next one, Dragon. I know it's a big one.
All right. A cop with a target on his back. The holiday season. Batman as backup. Can Detective Harvey Bullock find his would-be assassin? Will Batman put up with Bullock in this jazzy team-up? Tune in and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with a bullet for Bullock. I was cold. I was